When you think of NBA players, what comes to mind? Flashy mansions, luxury cars, private jets, designer clothes, and lifestyles most of us can only dream about. It's easy to assume that if someone is a professional basketball player at the highest level, they live in the lap of luxury at all times. But what if I told you that some of the NBA's richest black athletes actually choose to live like they're far from wealthy? That despite earning hundreds of millions over their careers, they live modestly, drive older cars, and invest in ways most people wouldn't even notice. Today we're diving into a fascinating side of the NBA, one that often flies under the radar. This isn't about the flashy highlight reels or the signature shoes. It's about discipline, perspective, and the surprising choices that some of the league's most successful athletes make when it comes to money. The myth of the over-the-top NBA lifestyle. There's a stereotype that NBA players are inherently flashy with their money. Pop culture reinforces this image. Diamond chains swinging, Lamborghinis parked outside, extravagant parties on yachts. And sure, there are players who embrace this lifestyle, but it's far from universal. Some players are quietly wealthy in ways that are almost invisible. Public speculation and interviews suggest that several athletes prioritize financial security and longevity over instant gratification. They understand that a professional sports career, no matter how successful, is relatively short. Earning millions is remarkable, but maintaining that wealth is an entirely different challenge. Some NBA veterans have been quoted reflecting on how early exposure to money taught them the value of modest living. They didn't want to fall into the trap of living beyond their means, and for them, true wealth isn't about appearances. It's about stability, freedom, and impact. How modesty shows up in daily life. So what does living modestly look like for someone making tens of millions a year? For some players, it means driving a reliable family sedan instead of a flashy sports car. It might mean living in a comfortable but unpretentious home rather than a sprawling mansion. It could even mean avoiding the kind of public display of wealth that attracts unnecessary attention. According to available information, there are players who are meticulous about their spending. They budget carefully, invest strategically, and often have a network of trusted advisors helping them plan for the future. Some continue to shop at regular grocery stores, wear simple clothing, or even take public transportation when it's convenient. On the surface, they might appear like anyone else, but behind the scenes, they're quietly building multi-generational wealth. This approach is not just about frugality, it's a mindset. It's about valuing experiences, relationships, and long-term security over material accumulation. And interestingly, it often correlates with longevity in the league. Players who avoid financial distractions and maintain grounded lifestyles are often able to focus more on their craft, remain healthier, and plan carefully for life after basketball. Lessons from financially disciplined players. Some of the league's most respected figures have openly discussed how living simply has benefited them. They view wealth as a tool, not a status symbol. By prioritizing investments, education, and smart philanthropy, they are able to create lasting impact that goes far beyond the court. One recurring theme is real estate. Many NBA stars choose homes that are practical, located in communities that mean something to them, and that provide stability for their families. Rather than the traditional image of sprawling estates in gated communities, these athletes often pick properties that allow them to live comfortably without excessive upkeep or attention. Another aspect is philanthropy. Several players channel significant portions of their earnings into community programs, scholarships, and foundations. Living modestly doesn't mean denying oneself. For many, it means freeing up resources to give back in meaningful ways. It's a choice that combines financial responsibility with social impact. The psychological side of living modestly. There's also a psychological dimension to consider. Sudden wealth can be overwhelming, and without careful management, it can create stress, anxiety, or even toxic relationships. Some players choose modest lifestyles as a protective measure. By staying grounded, they preserve a sense of normalcy and authenticity in their lives. Some reports suggest that maintaining a low-profile lifestyle also helps players avoid the pressures and pitfalls that come with public scrutiny. Living modestly allows them to separate their professional and personal lives. They can enjoy their success privately, without the constant expectations or judgment from the outside world. Interestingly, this approach often inspires their peers and younger players. It sends a subtle but powerful message. You don't need to broadcast wealth to enjoy it. Financial security and freedom can be just as rewarding, sometimes even more so, than a flashy lifestyle. Now, here's a question to consider. What if the players who appear to be living like everyone else are actually the ones making the smartest moves of all? While the headlines celebrate flashy spending, the quiet planners may very well be the ones securing legacies that last far beyond the final buzzer. Some experts suggest that this mindset could be one of the biggest untold advantages in professional sports. Stories of financially savvy NBA players. While I won't single out anyone in particular as a complete insider, public speculation and interviews give us examples of athletes known for their financial prudence. Some have been described as shopping at the same stores they grew up with, driving older vehicles, and being surprisingly down-to-earth despite their wealth. Others are known to maintain modest routines and simple daily habits, prioritizing family time, personal growth, and career longevity over public displays of success. There are also stories of players who refused extravagant signing bonuses from Meyer perks, instead redirecting those funds into investments, businesses, or education. Some invest in small ventures quietly, preferring long-term stability over high-risk, attention-grabbing purchases. These choices, while not headline-grabbing, reflect a sophisticated understanding of wealth management that often goes unnoticed. Breaking the stereotype. The narrative that all rich athletes must live extravagantly is a stereotype, and it overlooks a critical point. Wealth can be lived in many ways. Modest living doesn't equate to deprivation. On the contrary, it often allows for a richer, more fulfilling life because it provides freedom, security, and control. Some players openly reject the bigger is better mindset. They are proof that it's possible to enjoy immense success without succumbing to societal pressures to display it. These choices challenge assumptions about what it means to be wealthy, especially in a culture that equates luxury with status. It's also worth noting that living modestly doesn't prevent these athletes from enjoying life's pleasures. It just means their definition of pleasure may differ from public expectation. A quiet evening with family, a meaningful investment in a business venture, or the satisfaction of financial independence can be just as rewarding as a luxury car or designer outfit. The broader message. Beyond the NBA, these examples carry a broader lesson about money, priorities, and perspective. Financial literacy, discipline, and mindful decision-making are universal tools. Anyone can benefit from the idea that true wealth isn't measured by outward appearances, but by freedom, security, and the ability to create impact. Some observers suggest that the most impressive part of this approach isn't the avoidance of luxury, it's the intentionality. Every choice is deliberate. Every dollar is considered. It's a mindset that balances ambition with prudence, risk with stability, and success with humility. And for fans, this perspective can be inspiring. It shows that even in a world often dominated by spectacle, there's value in restraint, careful planning, and focusing on what truly matters. So, the next time you see an NBA player driving a car that doesn't make headlines or living in a home that isn't featured in magazines, consider this. They may be among the smartest players off the court, quietly building a legacy that will last long after their final game. There's a subtle power in modesty, a freedom from excess, a focus on what matters, and a path towards a lasting impact. Perhaps the greatest lesson here is that wealth at its core is a tool, not a trophy. And those who understand this often live lives that are richer, deeper, and far more enduring than appearances alone could ever suggest. If this story resonated with you, take a moment to show some support. Like the video if you found these insights surprising or inspiring. Subscribe to the channel for more stories that go beyond the headlines, exploring the hidden truths behind success and achievement. And I'd love to hear your thoughts. Share in the comments what you think about athletes who choose to live modestly despite immense wealth. Do you see it as wisdom, restraint, or a different kind of freedom?